First of all, I think we agree that debt is going to be a problem. There's no question about that. We all agree. And we need to do something about it.
A critical aspect of ensuring financial stability and sustainable fiscal policy is the ability to effectively manage public debt. The debt portfolio is often the largest in the country and can generate substantial risks to the balance sheet, thereby having the potential to undermine key development objectives. Uganda very recently established its Debt Management Office. CABRI facilitated a workshop to support Ugandan debt management officials to analyze challenges and develop actions that will guide its work going forward.
So there were 4 areas that we focused on. The first focus area was the importance of developing a borrowing strategy for a country. And what's important in developing this borrowing strategy is that it is a strategy that takes into account the context of the country and very importantly how this borrowing strategy is implemented throughout the budget process.
A disciplined budget is really, really important. In fact, I could talk of it as a foundation and anchor of what it is to debt management. First of all, that's the basis on which you would forecast the borrowing requirement. And then if you do that clearly and systematically, at the end of the day, it sends the right signals to the market of what your requirement is year on year. And by extension, that should reduce your borrowing costs. So it is very, very important that we physically disciplined.
The second focus area was what do you need to do in order to ensure that there is an enabling environment? An enabling environment that is going to give you access to the domestic market. The third focus area that we had was this important area of risk and why it's important to ensure that throughout the implementation of the borrowing strategy that you take into account what risk are posed by the levels of borrowing and also the type of borrowing that is undertaken and also very importantly how the funds that you are borrowing is being used.
Money is sweet. Nobody will tell you right. All of us, money is sweet. But know that that sweetness can be dangerous, and that is debt.
The management of risk is important for the budget process because the interest expenditure happens to be a growing item of the budget framework. So in order for the interest expenditure not to crowd out the rest of the social spending priorities, we need to manage the debt stock. We need to come up with the composition of the debt that insulate the budget from volatile increases, for instance, in your interest rate, in your exchange rate, predominantly in the exchange rate.
We really don't go against government borrowing, but our issues mainly are concerned about how this money is being utilized. The other concern is also about the growing debt stock because the increase has been consistent and this is amidst a stagnated revenue to GDP level of about 13% for the last 3 years. Then we note that the balance of payments have been in the negative for the last 3 years. And so we know that increasing debt with time will lead to debt unsustainability.
The fourth, which is a major focus area of CABRI's work going forward, is this area of the capabilities of a debt office. So what kind of capabilities are required in order for the debt office to perform its function? CABRI is interested in what it is that ensures functionality. because we often see that many reforms that are introduced in Africa, they stop at form. So countries adopt a multi-year budget, and there's very little further work that is then done to ensure that multi-year budgeting contributes towards a more functional system.
The debt office is very important throughout the whole budgeting process, and especially in Rwanda, even in the planning process, because the planning process comes before the budget process. So we are, as the debt office, we need to sit on a committee which discuss on different projects that needs to be prioritized within the medium term. And as the debt office, we are required to give our our advice in terms of what would be the appropriate financing for those projects.
CABRI is obviously going to be collaborating with the DMO and more broadly with the Ministry of Finance to support them in the implementation of the actions.
For a long time, like I mentioned, before October 2014, the Public Debt Management Office has been fragmented into about 3 institutions. But why a single debt management office helps is now there is a one-stop center that knows all the projects that are coming in and are running, and they are working with the DPs to ensure that they do portfolio reviews and see who is disbursing and not.
We don't just want to adopt a borrowing strategy. We don't just want to see countries adopting laws. We want to ensure and look at ways in which those contribute towards more functional systems. That is very important.
We want you to empower the debt office so that we get a lot of resources to go out and sensitize the people, make them aware that we need a vibrant capital market, and we shall achieve.
It was important having the permanent secretary there because these actions require the appropriate authority to be obtained, and we believe that in this case the appropriate authority would be provided by the permanent secretary. It is important that there was going to be an acceptance of the actions that we had agreed upon, and that there is also an ability that is in place in order to ensure that these actions are undertaken.